I'm gonna attempt to tell a story with some poems, with a poem. And this is gonna be a story about the poem. It's a poem that I won some poetry slams with. Just for the record, though, I'm Puerto Rican, born and raised in Chicago. But this poem and this story is not about my Puerto Rican immigration experience. It's about immigration experience from another side. For 4 years, I worked for then a Cook County commissioner. So right now, he's the 4th District Congressional Representative, Chuy Garcia. But when I was working for him, he was the 7th District Cook County Commissioner from 2011 to 2015. And some of you who probably have heard of him before know that he ran against Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of Chicago. Yeah. You clap or not, I don't care. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, well, I do care. Maybe I shouldn't say that. But he lost at the runoff. And then, after he lost, he had a sit down with all of his staff members. And, one by one, he would take them out to lunch and talk to them. And there was about 4 of us on the staff, and he takes me out to lunch. And he's like, hey, what'd you think? I give him my thoughts about the mayoral race and my time with him. And he goes, yeah. Where do you see yourself 10 years? 10 years from now, where do you see yourself? And I'll think about it, and I'm like, man, Chuy, I see myself getting back into activism and to performing and into poetry. And he goes, yeah, me too. He's like, I think maybe sooner rather than later. It was the best way to get fired. It was such a sweet way to get fired. I got a free meal out of it. Like, what I'm saying? You got fired and you got a free meal out of it, you know what I'm saying? But I think he knew, and I'm so thankful that I got fired because I was able to get workers' comp. No, I'm joking. But I was able to then, from there, after leaving the office, really dive into performing, dive into poetry, and dive into all the things that I wanted to do, recognizing that I couldn't be an office person, which is what I do now. But the first year that I worked for him, in 2011, Chuy Garcia, he sponsored what is now known as the ICE Ordinance. So it used to be legal for ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement Agency, to put what they call a detainer on somebody that was picked up and put in the county jail. Example, you're undocumented, driving without a license, maybe going to work, and you get stopped, you get pulled over, you go to Cook County Jail, and some type of message goes out to ICE. And ICE says, we're going to put what's called a detainer on this person. And we want you to hold them up to an extra 48 hours. And we'll go and we'll pick them up, right? Now, Sheriff Tom Dart, who's still currently the sheriff of the Cook County jail system, said that, there was no policy to put in place how we're going to deal with this, right? So being, a jail, they just, voluntarily cooperated with ICE. And so Chuy Garcia sponsors this resolution, this ordinance that now prohibits Cook County Jail from honoring these ICE detainers because the cost of the extra time of everybody they were holding was being incurred by the people of Cook County, right? And this was unconstitutional for them to do that. The next day, after this historic ordinance get passed, I'm at the office fielding phone calls. And as I'm fielding these phone calls, I am just getting phone call after phone call after phone call of very angry people saying very nasty things to me about immigrants. And some of them, as I'm listening to them, notably have an accent. And I'm like, this is awkward. It was a trip. It was a crazy time, and it inspired me to write this poem that I eventually went and I slammed with. So I'm gonna use this microphone stand. Good morning, Commissioner's Office. Good morning. Are you that piece of crap that lets illegals run loose in my country? Her voice was high pitched, with a pinch of nasality. Her bottled up hate was aimed at me. Excuse me? You spics? You wetbacks? You need to go back. And with that, she hung up the phone. I cautiously did the same. My arm still shaking from the boiling blood like bubbling water hot on the stove. My palms, though sweating, were cold. Illegal? Now, I've been called many names, but something about the word illegal as if existing were against the law. And I'm Puerto Rican. We're supposed to be citizens. The phone rings again. What's the deal with all you aliens? The raspy voice had said. His words were thick and hard for my ears to digest. The only thing you spics are good for is gangs. And before I could respond, he was gone. Gangs, huh? Well, I've been to Puerto Rico, and ain't no Latin kings. And MS-13 didn't start in El Salvador. And GDs and vice lords weren't born in Africa. That proudly stamped made in America. The result of failures of American dreams, etc. The phone rings. I pause this time. The ringing reminded me of ticks from a clock on a bomb. The voice on the other end was calm, like still trees before the hurricane. Why don't you just go back? Nobody wants you here. Just go back. There was no sound when he hung up the phone, just a ringing silence. Go back? Well, go back where? I was born here. Should I have the same attitude toward those that now occupy the neighborhoods that I once knew? Reverse of the white flight. Property value drops, but rents rise. Welcome to a brand new gentrified hood heights. Neighborhoods we had established now turn to art districts, and everybody loves the way that it's just so ethnic. Sons and daughters of Republicans moving in while their families vote for those that tell us to go back. Go back to what? To the countries owned by the United Fruit Company? Or to the murderous dictators backed by US policies, then blame their families for escaping those atrocities. Do not neglect history that since the beginning, humans have always migrated, whether by choice or by force. And I will not neglect history too, and know that the immigrant has always been hated, from the African to the Irish to the Asian. The phone rings again.